Behind the wheel. Drive like your family lives here. New York City is a very busy city, with people using many different modes of transportation to move from place to place. Drivers must take more care to watch for pedestrians, cyclists, and other modes such as electric scooters when driving here. It is essential to learn safe driving skills even before you get your license. In this lesson, we will focus on driving behaviors and the leading causes of crashes, because every driver's choices behind the wheel matter. Let's begin by talking about Vision Zero. What is Vision Zero? Well, Vision Zero is a traffic safety initiative to reduce traffic fatalities and injuries to zero. Any number of traffic deaths or serious injuries is unacceptable. How do we achieve Vision Zero? The New York City Department of Transportation partners with agencies such as the Taxi and Limousine Commission, NYPD, City Hall, and MTA bus operation, among others. Vision Zero focuses on 4 effective ways to make our streets safer. Engineering consists of making safety improvements to the traffic environment, such as installing protected bike lanes and reducing traffic speeds. Enforcement consists of using cameras in addition to relying on the NYPD to enforce our traffic laws. We focus on the most dangerous driving behaviors, such as driving under the influence. Education consists of teaching all residents about traffic safety and their rights and responsibilities through various citywide educational programs and campaigns. Public engagement consists of communicating and collaborating with communities to strengthen traffic safety awareness and change high crash areas through design. In 2020, there were 245 fatalities in New York City, even though many of us were staying home. High-risk driver choices such as speeding and distracted driving are a factor in 85% of pedestrian and bicyclist fatalities. Vision Zero includes an extensive advertising effort and a strong social media and internet presence. The Department of Transportation led the creation of several Vision Zero ad campaigns. Our original campaign, Your Choices Matter, focused on identifying and changing the behaviors of drivers that lead to pedestrian and cyclist fatalities. The current Signs campaign focuses on encouraging drivers to drive the speed limit and pay close attention to pedestrians. We all share the road. The Speed Cameras Save Lives campaign helps drivers to understand the importance of driving slowly and carefully on all our neighborhood streets. Speeding is deadly. The New York City Department of Transportation uses a variety of methods to encourage people to drive at safe speeds. Speed cameras have been proven to be an effective method to save lives. At locations where a speed camera is in use, injuries drop 17% and speeding drops by over 60%. Countless New York City families have needlessly lost loved ones in preventable crashes. Vision Zero Task Force agencies partnered with Families for Safe Streets, an organization that includes people who have lost loved ones in traffic crashes. In the Drive Like Your Family Lives Here video, we will hear their stories. Let's begin with Part 1, Memories.
Approximately 4,000 New Yorkers are seriously injured and more than 250 are killed each year in traffic crashes. On average, vehicles seriously injure or kill a New Yorker every 2 hours. Your choices matter. These are the stories of 5 families who lost loved ones in a traffic crash.
I was hitchhiking on a street in Cambridge in 1971. I was 21 and he was 22.
Mary Beth Kelly, partner of Carl Henry Nacht.
Henry was a New York City kid. He grew up on Bay 10th Street in Bensonhurst. He put himself through college and medical school by driving a New York City yellow cab.
Josbel fue mi primer hijo, era mi compañero.
Belkis and Jasiel Rivera, mother and brother of Josbel Rivera.
Luego de la muerte de mi esposo, Josbel ocupó el lugar de su padre. Puedo decir que era mi mejor amigo.
Back when we were living in an apartment, I have to carry her up and down the stairs because she can't just...
She didn't want to sleep.
She can't sleep. That's the way I got my exercises back then.
Amy, Shipei, and Preston Liao, mother, father, and brother of Allison Liao.
She definitely makes the life at home a little more interesting. Preston's definitely a lot more quieter. He listened to rules more. Allison was a little more on the rambunctious side.
He was an artist. He loved to paint.
Lizzie and Mumita Rahman, mother and sister of Asif Rahman.
My house was always full of noise, happy noises, laughter, and beatboxing, and him playing with his little brother, or, making fun of his sister.
She loved candy. I used to pick her up sometimes after school, and then I would take her to the store to buy her some candy. And I used to buy her a lot of candy. All those little things that you aren't supposed to eat because they're gonna mess up your teeth. And then when she finally got the job at Dillon's, it's kind of like, all right, that suits Renee very, very well.
Greg Thompson Jr., brother of Renee Thompson.
The best of us, I used to call her that. And it was always playful when I said it, but I meant it.
What does the empty chair symbolize in the video? The empty chair symbolizes the deceased family member. The death of each family member was not an accident. It was a preventable crash. In 2020, 42,060 people died in motor vehicle crashes in the United States, an increase of almost 17%. These are too many preventable crashes and too many lives lost. Drivers have a lot of responsibility and must be more careful and skillful. To prevent crashes, drivers must drive the speed limit and be alert and mindful of pedestrians, cyclists, and other drivers at all times. Pedestrian crashes involving unsafe vehicle speeds are twice as deadly. Pedestrians struck by vehicles traveling at 20 miles per hour have a 90% chance of surviving the crash. The speed limit in New York City is 25 miles per hour. Save lives, slow down. Let's continue to hear these families' stories. Part 2, The Loss, the date of the crash.
That was sort of an ordinary day in our lives.
I was in my room working, pretty ordinary day.
Allie was actually with Grandma's house because she liked to stay there anyway. And for us, at least we got a little time for ourselves to, at least focus on little tasks that we've been meaning to do.
I was trying to bake a gluten-free banana bread.
Yeah.
Henry called me before my last clients, and he said, hey, it's a gorgeous night. How about if you and I ride our bikes down the Greenway?
We get a text message from my nephew. We just kind of thought as one of those regular routines. We might have to go to the emergency room, but everything will be okay.
My father and my mother were rushing. They were getting dressed, rushing. They said, Renee is down at the precinct.
Somebody knocked on the door, and my little boy, Nafis, opened the door, and he told me, Mom, there are police.
I got woken up by my mother. She ran into my room, she opened the door, she was like, Chanel, Jasiel, get up, there's detectives here, and I think there's something wrong with your brother.
We did drive up to the emergency room. I think I dropped you off first.
Yeah, he dropped me off, and then I went in there, and there was Allie's shoes, and there was blood on it. I was just so dazed.
There's a light for anyone on the bike path, and it was green, and so we continued through the intersection, and all of a sudden there were headlights bearing down on us, and I slammed on my brakes, and I thought I was going to go flying right over my bike into this tow truck that was just taking the turn without any regard for the fact that we were there. And, you know, we had blinking white lights on the front, and I stopped, and I looked, and I saw that Henry was probably not going to make it. And it hit him, and it threw him into another tow truck that was parked there. And I threw my bike to the ground. I ran over to him, and he was trying to get up and couldn't.
June 22, 2006, West Side Highway and 38th Street, Manhattan. Carl Henry Nacht, age 56, was hit and killed by a tow truck making a turn while he was riding his bike on the Greenway. Henry had the green light.
My mom kept screaming, "She's no longer with us. She's no longer with us." And I remember feeling really, really overwhelmed. Like, there's no way this could be happening. There's no way.
July 31st, 2013, 3rd Avenue and 60th Street, Manhattan. Renee Thompson, age 16, was hit and killed by a turning truck as she was crossing the street in the crosswalk. She was coming home from her job at Dylan's Candy Bar.
I guess one of the head doctors ended up coming over to us and had to explain that they've been working on Allie for at least a half an hour.
And they had to stop. And they were pumping her heart for half an hour, but it wouldn't start. And they gave her blood, but it wouldn't start. And I remember holding her arms, and I said, "Take my blood." She said it wouldn't work.
October 6, 2013, Main Street and Cherry Avenue, Queens. Allison Liao, age 3, was hit and killed by a car making a left turn while she was crossing the street in the crosswalk with the walk signal. She was holding her grandmother's hand.
Es como que si de repente se te va la vida. Es un dolor que no tiene explicación. Es dolor, es angustia, es rabia a la misma vez. Es ¿por qué? Porque a mi hijo, porque murió de esa manera.
December 26, 2011, Mosholu Parkway and Paul Avenue, the Bronx. Jusbel Rivera, age 23, was killed in a hit-and-run as he crossed the street. Jusbel was left lying in the street for 2 hours before a person spotted him and called 911.
I don't really know. Maybe I'm a very hard person. I couldn't cry in front of the doctors. As soon as the doctors left the room, I was banging my head on the wall.
I went to go see my brother. I touched his face, kissed him. But that's it. You know, someone's gone, they're just gone, just like that. There's nothing you can do.
February 28, 2008, Queens Boulevard and 55th Road, Queens. Asif Rahman, age 22, was struck and killed by a truck while he was riding his bicycle on the street.
What were the negligent driving behaviors that led to each crash as described in the video? One negligent driving behavior is aggressive driving in an intersection. 1 in 4 pedestrian crashes are caused by drivers making aggressive turns into the intersection. Most pedestrians are hit in the crosswalk when they have the walk signal. When driving, use extreme caution when entering an intersection, especially when turning. Always expect people in the crosswalk. Give pedestrians space. Stop at the bar, not in the crosswalk. As drivers, we share the road with pedestrians. Before making a turn, be sure to reduce your speed to allow the pedestrian time to fully cross the street. Often, pedestrians stop at the curb and look in all directions for cars and bicycles, especially vehicles that are turning left. Another negligent driving behavior is reckless truck driving. In 2019, almost 1 in 6 pedestrian fatalities was caused by reckless truck drivers. Driving a truck or any vehicle is a big responsibility. When driving, reduce your speed at intersections. Pause and wait before you turn. Drivers of big vehicles make wide turns and should be aware of their tire path. In New York City, there are so many pedestrians traveling day to day. As drivers, we share the road with these pedestrians. There are blind spots that may hinder a driver's view of a pedestrian. Typically, when traveling near a truck, pedestrians stay alert and visible to the truck driver. Another negligent driving behavior is driving while intoxicated. In 2019, 10,142 deaths occurred nationally in drunk driving crashes. That's one person dying every 52 minutes. Never ever drive if you are impaired by alcohol or drugs, and that includes recreational and prescription drugs. The consequences are too great. Let's continue to hear these family stories. Part 3, Life After Death.
Everybody goes on, with their lives the next day, don't know about this, don't know what happens, and the city seems like the same place, but it's never the same to us.
The dashboard camera of an approaching car recorded Allison Liao and her grandmother as they were struck by the vehicle.
We know now that definitely the car made a left turn, ran her over with the left front tire, and also ran her over with the rear tire too. So she was ran over twice that day. I think my mom was hysterical, basically. She saw what exactly happened.
She's not the same person. We're not the same people.
Everything changed. Everything changed. Okay? I don't even know of anything that remained the same. Not about myself, not about my parents, not about Belinda. There is nothing that's the same anymore.
It could have been avoided if there was thoughtfulness, slowing down, looking. If we didn't assume that everything had to be done so damn fast.
I think what's so difficult about this is that it's preventable. This driver really made some bad decisions. Like, we know that there was alcohol in his system. However much that contributed to his being distracted when he was making the left turn, he's a driver that didn't make careful, conscious decisions.
You're in a car that weighs maybe a ton or two. You're protected. You're enclosed in steel and glass. A pedestrian is not. A bicyclist is not.
Vehicles are weapons. They can be just as destructive as a gun can be. If the driver that hit my sister was more considerate and he yielded, he just stopped, he paused for a second as he made the turn, then maybe my sister would be here today.
Is it really worth it to try to rush through the red light? Is it worth it to get ahead of the car in front of you? Is it worth it to get around the cyclist, perhaps? That's sharing your lane.
We're all in this together, and we all share these streets. And if we harm someone in our community, we harm the community.
Todo el mundo tiene familia, tienen hermanos, tienen primos, tienen tíos, tienen madre, tienen hijo. Piensen en su familia. Piensen que ustedes no quieren ese dolor para su familia.
একটা প্রাণ যাওয়া মানে তার সাথে একটি পরিবার যাওয়া। আমার আসিফের সাথে আমাদের ফ্যামিলিটাও শেষ হয়ে গেছে। আপনারা সবাই চেষ্টা করবেন সাবধানে গাড়ি চালাতে।
Drive like your sister lived here.
Drive like your partner lives here.
Drive like your brother lives here.
Manejen como si sus hijos viven aquí.
গাড়ি চালানোর সময় মনে করবেন আপনার বাচ্চা এই পথেই।
Drive like your children live here.
After watching this heartfelt video, what do you think it means to drive like your family lives here? Drive like your family lives here means driving the speed limit. Drive like your family lives here means being cautious as you drive by scanning the intersections for pedestrians and cyclists. Drive like your family lives here means making slow turns. Drive like your family lives here means don't be distracted when driving. Drive like your family lives here means never drive when under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Drive like your family lives here means that you should always drive with consideration of others who are traveling in the traffic environment. You should treat every pedestrian, cyclist, and driver with the same respect you give to your family members. We are all a community. We share the streets.